Hey folks, so here's a quick video on how to install this relay for the water pump for those of you that have the REDARC system and are having overcurrent or over temperature warnings pop up on your display. So what the recommendation was from REDARC and what the reasoning is for some reason the 10 amp circuit breaker, which is what it's rated at, is prematurely tripping. Our water pump that's sitting down here is actually rated for 7.5 amps, but for some reason it's tripping the 10 amp circuit. So the solution is to wire in a relay, which will draw a much lower amperage and resolve the problem. So I've already sent you, for those of you that have requested it, a relay and instructions. And unfortunately, in my airheadedness, I forgot to send along this ring terminal connector. That is a 3/8 inch diameter opening in the ring terminal for the battery terminal on the positive terminal on your batteries. And so if you have one of these, great. If not, let me know and I will ship some out, probably from Amazon, since most likely you're in the United States and shipping across the border is going to be a pain just for something like this. Um, so anyhow, the instructions on how to wire it up are going to be right here. The relay, obviously, and then a couple tools that you might need. Some basic wire strippers or cutters. I just have the side cutters because they're easier to cut, and some electrical tape. Again, we have like this fabric wiring harness tape, which is what we do on the trailer, so I have that here. All of our trailers already have these relays installed, so I'm just going to give you an example of what to do. This one already has the relay in it since we're doing all trailers moving forward. But of course, I just want to be able to show you pretty basically on how to wire this up. So the first thing you're going to do is snip off this zip tie right here with the side cutter so that the red wire can be elongated. And you have a two pairs of wires here. So you have red and white taped together and a red and blue taped together. And the white and blue here that I'm pinching right now, this one is actually going to be, you're going to wire in for the wires that are coming from the REDARC system. So when you go down beside the water pump and cut it, which I'll show you, you're going to crimp these onto the wires that will be heading to the REDARC system, and the red and white pair is going to get crimped to the wires that are now exposed that are leading directly to the water pump. And this long red wire, you're going to pass through an opening. You can see the two grommets right there. You're going to pass through to the battery and then make your way into the interior, open up the battery lid, and again, we'll show you that. And you're going to connect this ring terminal to it to hook it up to the battery, and that's it. It's relatively simple. It should take you about like 30 minutes if you're relatively mechanically inclined. Anyhow, let me just reposition the camera and we'll get started. Okay, so we've crawled into a trailer here to show you how to install. This is actually my personal trailer. It was the prototype for the REDARC system. So there's a couple things that are slightly different, but we'll be able to give you a pretty good description of what's going on. So you're going to have this main harness right here with should be one harness coming down, and then it splits in two after. In my case, I have the difference is there's two separate looms or harnesses coming down. One's going to the probe for the fresh water tank, and the other one is going to the water pump. So obviously we're going to want to deal with the water pump wires. I did a video take earlier, and unfortunately my microphone disconnected, so there's no audio. So here we are partway, unfortunately. So I'll do my best to describe it. So in your harness, you're going to have a blue and white wire connecting to a red and black wire. And if I can make this look legible for you. Yeah, you're going to have that blue to blue and white to white. I had already removed the loom, the electrical tape, cut the wires and stripped them. So yeah, you're going to want to do the same thing. So just making sure that your power is disconnected on your REDARC system, meaning you've double tapped that power button so that you have the little lock icon that's over top of the light switches, water pump switch, etc., so that there's no power running through these lines here. That's pretty important. So, and then you can take your side cutters and snip the wires, making sure you're only cutting one wire at a time, not both of them. And then once it's cut, you can twist off the copper wires that are there, just to make sure they're not fraying and catching on your butt connectors when you reconnect things. So yeah, so here are now your loose wires going into the two different directions. I've chosen to cut it on the white and the blue wire. It just makes it a lot easier for designating where the next, like where the relay wires are going to connect to. So here's my relay sitting down here. And so we can take the pair of blue and white wires, and it's going to be really straightforward. You're actually just going to match white to white and blue to blue, and then go ahead and attach those with your crimper. So it doesn't really matter which one you do. I'll fold out the white wires out of the way and go ahead and we can crimp on the blue. So when you crimp it off, you're going to crimp off maybe, I don't know, it's about 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch, something like that. That should be enough to seat itself inside the butt connector. And you can insert it in there, grab your crimpers, and you're going to crimp on the metal portion of this butt connector. So you can make sure that the wire is seated, like the copper is seated inside that metal tube in there, and go ahead and just pinch down. You can pinch a couple times in different places. Just make sure you really capture that wire. So this yellow plastic that you see here, it's actually doing double duty. It's a crimper, obviously, butt connector, obviously, but it's also a heat shrink tube. So you're going to want to take a lighter or a little mini torch, like a creme brulee torch, if you happen to be into cooking and you have one in your kitchen, or a heat gun, hair dryer, something that's going to generate some heat. The hair dryer will take the longest, but generally you're just going to try and melt this plastic, heat it up, and you'll see it melt. It'll shrink and collapse itself onto that wire, and you're going to see a little bit of adhesive start running down the tube, which will, when it cools, it'll bond itself to the wire, and now this butt connector is really secure. So let's go ahead and do that for the white wire now. Okay, and so I guess I have the torch here. It's kind of cheating having one of these little mini torches, but and then it's a trick not to make sure you don't light something else on fire in the trailer, since it throws the flame pretty far. Just make sure that adhesive's touching. Watch your fingers, it's quite hot. And then we can wrap that in electrical tape after, just to make sure. So there is part one of the relay connection, is those two wires there. Watching yourself so you don't get burned. But basically now you have the two wires coming off the water pump, and you're going to connect them to the red and white pair here. So yeah, so you're going to basically, here you got the red leading into this blue. Well, it's going to go to the red, because red to red, it's just got a blue section in between. So we can go ahead and connect those ones, and then obviously it leaves the last wire being white. In this case, it's white to white, black here. In 12-volt electrical systems, white and black both mean ground. It's a little confusing. I don't like it whatsoever, but my technician insisted on having a white wire coming off of the relay, signifying the universal demarker or color code for a ground wire for 12-volt systems. So, and then those two can get connected. And then once those two are done, we'll move on to the next step. So why don't we go ahead and let's crimp those on. And then we got the red going to the blue coming off the relay. Where is that? There we go. So we got red to red. It's always a challenge getting the wires out of the way so you can work a little more clearly. There we go, secure. And then what you can do, without getting into too much detail or whatever, and not wasting your time watching me torch these, Basically, you're going to heat shrink those back down. You can like put a little thing of electrical tape like it is right here just to keep them together nice and organized. You can go ahead and apply the loom back down the wire runs. You can fold wires up inside there to tuck them in, wrap it all in electrical tape. And then what we did with the relay here is that's 3M VHB double-sided tape. It's extremely strong. Go ahead and clean the back of this plate with some sort of degreaser, rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, anything like that. You can tuck it to the side and just stick the relay down onto that bar or that plate. Once that's done, you will have one lone long red wire. And so this long wire here, you are going to get to the end and you're going to feed it through. See this red wire right here? If you have an inverter, you're going to have this wire. If you don't have an inverter in your trailer, it won't be there. You should have just an opening here, and you're going to feed that wire through as best you can. Might have to put some WD-40 on it or something, but there, I got mine through. And that's into the battery box. And so you're going to feed that all the way through. And you're going to go to the inside of the trailer. Right after this, I'll film that too, and open up the battery box lid for the next and final step. You can go ahead and tidy things up as you see fit here with electrical tape and loom, like I said, and you are good to go in this area. Okay, so now we've made our way inside the trailer. Still do not turn on the power. You can see I have the lights off. And now it's time to get access to the battery box. I'm sure some of you already had access to this, so you know what to do. So it's a flathead screwdriver to undo that gear clamp. We're going to pull this hose off of that fitting down there and just kind of put it away. And then there's 4 thumb screws to undo. You should just untwist those. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll start the camera up again and show you inside the battery box. Okay, so I opened up my battery box here. As you can see, I have a single battery in here and a couple other components, so don't freak out. It looks probably going to look very different from yours. We're just testing a couple different products in here. So anyhow, if you have multiple batteries, that red cable that's coming in here, as you can see, I've already attached the ring terminal and heat shrunk it on. This can get attached to any positive terminal of any battery in there. So if you got 2, 3, 4 batteries, just undo the bolt on any one of the positive terminals, slide that on, and then you're going to put the bolt back down and snug it tight. Not too tight, nothing crazy. You don't want to damage the battery or the threads or anything like that, but just cinch it tight so it's not going to come loose on you. And you got to make sure you have a nice connection happening. So other than that, you should be able to turn on the system and go ahead and operate your water pump and see what happens. If you're not positive on how things are going with as far as electrical connection goes, you can go ahead and open up the 50 amp breaker here as well. I've done that just as a just in case. You shouldn't need to, but you can go ahead and do that as well. So just remember, you're going to connect this to the positive terminal, not the negative, and you should be good to go. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks. Okay, so this is what my battery just did. The display was beeping at me a bunch, and it said check battery settings. So I hit OK, and there it is, confirm battery settings. So I'm going to hit OK here, and then select the batteries. You're probably all lithium batteries. So we're going to go to the right here to lithium iron phosphate. You're going to select down what your capacity is. I'm 320 amp hours. I'm charging at 30 amps. These should all be the same, and I'm good to go. Those are my settings. Let's see what happens next. Set clock. Okay, let's set the clock. So obviously we're not 2023 any longer. Go to the right. We are August. Today is the 15th. And the time today, no clue what time it is right now, just because my phone is busy recording. So I'll set that later. And now it's going to show calibrating. So that'll take about, it's almost 24 hours actually to calibrate. What they really want you to do is to use up a bunch of your battery power. So if we were to turn on the lights in here right now, you could turn on a bunch of your lights. There's my water pump firing up, so we know that works. I know this is an amp draw as well, my heated fresh water tank. So running down the power a little bit and then plugging in your shore power to bring the power back up. that is going to help calibrate the system, and it should automatically repopulate with your percentage state of charge and all the other information. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help out. Talk to you soon.